Hello, welcome back. We are in Chapter 9, Measurement and Geometry, discussing Lesson 2, Area of Circles. So this formula right here, area equals pi r squared, that is the formula which is used to find the area of a circle. Now, let me just go ahead and break this formula down. So A is for area, so your area equals pi. We're probably going to be using 3.14 for that. Okay, so that's going to be 3.14 times r squared. Now, r squared, that r is for the radius. This r squared, what that means, r squared is the same thing as r times r. So whatever your radius is, you're going to be multiplying it by itself and then multiplying it by 3.14. So that's just what this formula means when we say A equals pi r squared. A is the area, pi, we're going to use 3.14, and r squared just means r times r, which is the radius multiplied by itself. So, so since the value of pi is about 3.14, you can use the formula. Area is approximately, remember, whenever we put that 3.14 in for pi, it becomes approximate. So that's why we have that. Is approximately 3.14 times r times 4r to estimate the area of the circle. Remember that area is expressed in square units. So whenever we're trying to determine what the area is, if we have this circle, we're trying to figure out like how much material do we need to cover this entire circle here. So last section we talked about the perimeter of a circle, but we called that a special name called the circumference. And the circumference was only dealing with the rim around the circle. That was if you were to go from here and you're going to go all the way around like this. So that's what we determined last lesson. Well, what is the distance around the circle? That was the circumference, right? But today we're taking it a step further, and we are determining what the area is. And area is everything inside of this, okay? Is the portion in yellow. So let's go ahead and write down our area. So if it says we need to find the area, we're going to write down our formula. Area equals pi r squared. We need to define our radius. Our radius is 4 inches, so that means r equals 4. And then we just substitute everything in. So area is approximately, I'm going to use the 3.14, and it's going to be times 4 squared, which is the same thing as 4 times 4, right? So I'm going to go area is approximately, our order of operations says we have to do parentheses and then exponent. So this is an exponent right here. This is an exponent, so we have to do that part first. So that's going to be 4 squared is the same thing as 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 is actually equal to 16. And then I'm just going to take this off to the side and go 3.14 times 16. 6 times 4 is 24. Write the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. And now I'm in the 10 spot, so I need to put a 0 there. And 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. We add. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus another 1 is 10. So write the 0, carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4, plus another 1 is 5. Then we just need to know the amount of decimals, and right here there's 2 decimal places, so that means our answer has to have 2 decimal places there. So our answer is 50.24, but it wants us to find the area to the nearest tenth. So this is the tenth right here, which means we have to go here, and this has to be a 5 or above to round this up. It is not, which means our area is 50.2 inches, and whenever you're dealing with area, it's going to be inches squared. So that is what our area is 50.2 inches squared. All right, to the nearest tenth. Okay, let's go ahead and do a couple more problems together. So we're going to find the area of each circle to the nearest tenth. We're going to use 3.14. Oh, I should have wrote that. I never did finish this. I'm sorry. The area is approximately 50.2 inches squared. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so the problem says find the area of each circle to the nearest tenth. So the area, that's what we're doing, to the nearest tenth. So when we see area of each circle, we know that we're dealing with the formula area equals pi r squared. Okay, so right when we see that area of the circle, boom, we can write that down. We know this is the formula to determine the area of the circle. Now we just need to define our terms. So the thing that we need to know is the radius. The radius is 9. So we're going to say radius is 9. And then we just substitute r in 9 in for r. So I'm going to get area. I'm also going to substitute the 3.14, which means this becomes approximate because 3.14 is approximate value of pi. It's not the exact value. And then multiplied by 9 squared. Now remember, 9 squared is the same thing as 9 times 9, which is 81, okay? So we have area is approximate to 3.14 times 9 squared is the same thing as 9 times 9, which is 81. Okay, area is approximate. Now we just need to take this little bit off to the side. So we're going to go 3.14 times 81. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Add the 0. 8 times 4 is 32. Write the 2. Carry the 3. 8 times 1 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. Write the 1. Carry the 3. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 1 is 25. And then we add. 4 plus 0 is 4. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. 5, 2. We have to determine where to put that decimal. In the problem, there are 2 decimal places. That means our answer is also going to have 2 decimal places. So we put it right there. And then we need to round to the nearest tenth. This is the nearest tenth right here. And so we have to look at this number. Is this a 5 or above? It is not, so we just leave it right there. So our area equals 254.3 or centimeters squared. So that would be our answer. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and do another problem over here. So we're finding the area here. So we're going to write down the formula. Area equals pi r squared. We need to determine the radius. So right now we know from here to here is 10. This is the diameter. The radius is going to be half of this. So half of 10 would be 5. That means our radius is going to be 5. Okay? So then we just substitute this into our formula. Area is approximately 3.14 times 5 squared. And remember, 5 squared is the same thing as 5 times 5, which is equal to 25. So that means the area is approximately 3.14 times 25. And we're just going to do that math really quick. 3.14 times 25. 5 times 4 is 20. Write the 0, carry the 2. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 5 times 3 is 15. Write the 0. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, then we add 0 plus 0 is 0. 7 plus 8 is 15. Write the 5, carry the 1. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 is 8. And 6 plus 1 is 7. We need to figure out where to put the decimal place. In our problem, there's 2 decimal places. That means in our answer, there's going to be 2. So it's 78.5. This is rounded to the nearest tenth. So we look here, and that's just a 0. So we're just going to leave it as area is approximately 78.5, and this is in millimeters squared. So to get the problem right, you have to put those units, and those units have to be squared. Whenever you're talking about area, it's always, the units will always be squared. All right? So let's go on to the next page. Here we have some problems, 3, 4, and 5. So I want you to go ahead and try these on your own. So where's our friend? There's the friend, the pause dragon. Make sure that you use your example here. So use this as a guide. Write your formula, define your terms, show all your work, do the calculations out to the side, write your answer, make sure it's approximate if you put 3.14 in, and then put your units squared at the end, okay? So your problem, when you do it, should look like this. The equal or approximate signs, they should all line up for the most part, okay? So go ahead and get started on problems 3, 4, and 5, and then check back when you get done and press play, and we'll talk about it and see how you did. All right, see you in a bit. See you in a bit. All right, we're back with problem 3. Let's go ahead and see how you did. So we're finding the area of each circle to the nearest tenth. So since we're finding area, we're going to write down our formula. Area equals pi r squared. Going to define our terms. R is equal, the radius is 11. So we just substitute everything in. So area is approximately, since I'm putting 3.14 in for pi, times 11 squared, and remember 11 squared is the same thing as 11 times 11, which is 121. We're going to substitute that in, so area is approximately 3.14 times 121. So now we're going to take this problem and just do it off to the side. So we have 3.14 times 121. Okay, so 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 3 is 3. Okay, tens place I put a 0. 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6. Now I'm in the hundreds, so I got to put 2 zeros. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 3 is 3, and then I add everything up. 4 plus 0, 0 is 4, 1 plus 8 is 9, 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 3 is 9. 1 plus 6 is 7, and then we have 3. We need to determine how many decimal places there are. In the problem, there's 2 decimal places. That means in our answer, there's going to have to be 2 decimal places as well. We need to round it to the nearest tenth. Okay, this is the nearest, this is the tenth place, so we're going to look over here, and this is not a 5 or above, so it doesn't round this up, so that's our answer right there. Area is approximate to 379.9 yards squared. So if you have all of that information, awesome job. Okay, let's go on to problem 4. We are finding the area, so I'm going to go ahead and write that formula. Okay, area equals pi r squared. You just need to memorize it. Area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi r squared. Area equals pi r squared, and area equals pi r squared. Okay. The radius, we're defining our terms, is 3. Okay, we're going to substitute that in. Area is approximate to 3.14 times 3 squared. 3 squared is the same thing as 3 times 3, which is equal to 9. So area is approximate to 3.14 times 9. I'm going to take that off to the side. 3.14 times 9. 9 times 4 is 36. Write the 6, carry the 3. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. Okay, we just need to put the decimal place in the right spot. In our problem, there's 2 decimal places. That means in our answer, there's going to have to be 2 as well. So it's going to be 28.2. This is the tenths place. We look here, and this is bigger than a 5, so it means it's going to round this 2 up to a 3. So our answer, the area is approximately 28.3 meters squared. So if you got that right and you showed all your work correctly and you wrote the formula and defined your terms, awesome job. Okay, let's move on to the next problem and see how you did. All right, we're finding the area of the circle, so we're going to write the formula down. Area equals pi r squared. The radius, now this is giving us a diameter. The radius is going to be half of the diameter, so half of 12 would be 6. So our radius is actually equal to 6. We're going to go ahead and substitute this in. Area is approximately 3.14 times 6 squared. Now 6 squared is the same thing as 6 times 6, which is the same thing as 36. So I'm going to write area is approximately 3.14 times 36. Now I just need to go ahead and do that math. I need to do 3.14 times 36. So let's do that off to the side. 3.14 times 36. And what we end up with is 6 times 4 is 24. Write the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. And then we're in the tens place, so we're going to put a 0 here. 3 times 4 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1, and making that a 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. And then we just add. So 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 2 is 10. Write the 0, carry the 1. 4 plus 8 is 12, plus 1 is 13, so write the 3, carry the 1. And 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And that's a 3. Okay, so we just need to count the decimal places in the problem, and there's 2, 1, 2, which means our answer has to have 2 as well. And so it's going to go right here. We're going to look here. There's the tens place, so we're going to look at the 4. Is it bigger than a 5? It is not. So that means that 0 is just going to stay the same, and I don't even really need to write it. So it's going to be 113 feet squared. So if you got that one right, awesome job. Let's go ahead and look at problem number 6. It says, what is the area of the circle with a radius 13 yards? Round your answer to the nearest tenth. So I want you to try to do this one on your own. Whenever you have a story problem like this, the best thing to do is to draw a picture first. So that's what I'm going to suggest. And go ahead and use the other problems as a guide. Make sure you show all your work, write the formulas, define your variables, all that type of stuff. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Go ahead. Oh, there's our friend the pause dragon. Remind you to pause your device. When you get done with problem number 6, press play and we'll talk about it. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, so we're back with problem 6. It says, what is the area of the circle with a radius 13? So we're talking about a circle. I'm going to draw a lovely circle right here. And it says the radius is 13 yards, okay? So we know we're finding the area, so we have to write our area formula. Area equals pi r squared. We're going to define our variables. R is equal to 13. And then we're just going to substitute that into our formula. So area is approximately 3.14 times r is 13, so 13 squared. All right, cool. We know that 13 squared is the same thing as 13 times 13. So I need to go ahead and figure out what is 13 times 13. I'm going to do that right here. 13 times 13. 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 1 is 3, put the 0 there, 3 times 1 is 3, 1 times 1 is 1, so I get 169. Okay, so that's equal to 169. So 13 squared equals 169, so I'm going to write area is approximately 3.14 times 169. Now we just need to do this calculation. So I'm going to say, hey, 3.14 times 169. Okay, and then just go for it. Okay, 9 times 4 is 36. I'm going to write the 6, carry the 3. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. Now I'm in the tens place, so I'm going to write a 0. 6 times 4 is 24. I'm going to write the 4 and then carry a 2. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, now I'm in the hundreds place. I have 1 times 4, which is 4, 1 times 1, which is 1, and 1 times 3, which is 3. And now we just need to add all these numbers up. So 6 plus 0 is 6, 2 plus 4 is 6. 8 plus 8 is 16 plus 4 is 20. So write the 0, carry the 2. 2 plus 8 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. Plus 2 would be 13. Write the 3, carry the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. Okay, now we just need to count up the decimal places. 1, 2. That means our answer has to have 2. Okay, so the decimal is going to go right there. Now it says round it to the nearest tenth. This is the nearest tenth. That means, is this one right here, is this bigger than a 5? It is, so that means it's going to round this one up to 7. So our area is approximately 530.7 yards squared. So if you got that one right, awesome job, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.